Hello, everybody. Welcome to IT and Gate classes. Today, we are going to discuss questions from Theory of Machines that have appeared in Gate 2020. Okay, so there have been in total of 7 questions. The questions were relatively easy, conceptual, right? There have been 2 questions from simple mechanism, 1 question from gear, epicyclic gear train, 2 questions from flywheel, 1 from balancing, and 1 from cams and follower. So we'll take it up seriously. Okay. So this is the first question. First, let us solve the questions from simple mechanisms. So this is a very basic question. Everybody who have gone through simple mechanisms will be able to easily answer this. The number of qualitatively distinct kinematic inversions possible for a Grashof chain with 4 revolute pair is. So what is the Grashof chain with 4 revolute pair? It is a 4-bar mechanism, isn't it? It is a 4-bar mechanism. Right? There are 4 revolute pairs at the 4 corners. Right? So to use this, we'll have to fix one of the link. Okay. So what are the different kinematic inversions possible for this link? The first inversion is double crank. Right? What is double crank? Double crank means both the input link and output links are having full rotation. The next is crank rocker. Right? What do we mean by crank rocker? One of the link, either the input or the output, is having continuous motion. Okay, full revolution. The other link is only having a rocker mechanism, that is a to and fro motion. Okay, sorry. Okay, and what is the third? The third one is double rocker mechanism. Double rocker mechanism. So what is double rocker mechanism? Both the input link and the output links are having to and fro motion, right? Oscillating motion, to be precise, oscillating motion. Both the input link and the output link are having oscillating motion, right? So can there be any other possibilities of apart from this? No, there is no other possibility, right? So the total number of distinct kinematic inversions possible is 3. It's a very simple question. We discussed it in class. Straightforward question in GATE. Okay, let us move on to the next question. Again, this is a question on Grashof law, right? So you have been given a 4-bar mechanism, right? So 3 of the lengths, the length of 3 of the links are given. You were asked the length of the 4th link. So how to solve this? Whenever such question comes where the length of the links are given, the first thing that should come to your mind is Grasshoff's law. What does Grasshoff's law says? Grasshoff's law says that for continuous motion, right? Continuous motion means to have one crank motion. So the crank is revolving, right? One of the links must be continuously revolving, right? So the smallest plus largest length, the length of the smallest and largest length should be smaller than equal to the length of the other 2 links. Let me say P and Q. So if this equation is satisfied, we can have a crank rocker mechanism. Okay. So if you slightly see if your basics are good enough, right, you will be able to know that when do we get a crank rocker mechanism. Definitely this law has to be followed, only then we will get a crank rocker mechanism, right? One of the links can have the complete revolution, right? Again, to have a crank rocker mechanism, the shortest link should be adjacent to the fixed link. Which one is the fixed link? This is the PS link. You can see this is the fixed link, right? The shortest link should be adjacent to the fixed length, right? So in the diagram, you can see definitely PQ should be the shortest link. Definitely PQ should be the shortest link. Okay, so let us say the shortest length S is PQ plus what is the largest among all? We can see clearly see that is 600. This should be smaller than equal to sum of the other two links, that is 400 plus 300. So if you see PQ should be less than equal to 100. So which of the option is a feasible option? Can be, right? D, 80 mm, right? So answer is D. It's a straightforward direct question from Grasshoff's law, right? So this is a very important law with respect to gate. Okay, let us move on to the third question. Again, this is a very simple question. We've practiced plenty of questions in class, right? And the only thing that you need to do is prepare a table, right? Okay, so if you see what exactly it is given in this question, the sun and the planet of a epicyclic gear train have identical number of teeth. Okay, so let us see the number of teeth. The number of teeth are not given directly, so let us see. Number of teeth of sun is equal to number of teeth of planet gear. Okay, so if you want to find out the number of teeth of ring gear, again this is a very nice concept in this question. So let us see how to find out the number of teeth on the ring gear. Okay, in terms of number of teeth on planet gear or sun gear. So number of teeth on the ring gear, we will use this equation. The radius of the ring gear is equal to radius of sun gear plus 2 times radius of planet gear, isn't it? Now we know that module is equal to d divided by t, that is equal to twice of r divided by t. That is, I can write radius is equal to mt divided by 2, right? So let us substitute mt by 2 in place of radius. So mt divided by 2 for the ring gear should be is equal to mt by 2 for the sun gear plus twice of mt by 2 for the planet gear, right? So since the sun gear is in mesh with planet gear and the planet gear is in mesh with the ring gear, right, the module will be same, so we can cancel out the modules, right? 2 is common everywhere. So from here we can see that the number of teeth on ring gear is equal to, since teeth of the sun gear and teeth of on the planet gear are equal, we can say 3 times teeth of sun gear, that is equal to 3 times teeth of planet gear. Okay, so we have the relationship among the number of teeth. Okay, what after that? After that, we just need to make the table. Okay, so here is the arm. Okay, here this sun gear, because it is the central gear, right? Then with sun, planet is in mesh, and with planet, ring is in mesh. So first let us consider the arm is fixed, so the angular velocity of arm is 0. Let us assume that The angular velocity of sun gear is plus x. So what will be the angular velocity of the planet gear? Since the number of teeth are equal, and you can see both of them are externally meshed, since number of teeth are equal, we can simply say the angular velocity of the planet gear will be minus x. So what will be the angular velocity of the ring gear, right? If you see the planet gear and the ring gear, they are internally meshed, so the in direction of angular velocity will be same, minus x number of teeth on the planet gear divided by number of teeth on the sun gear, sorry, ring gear, that will become minus x by 3. This will become minus x by 3. Okay, now let us assume that the arm gear is rotating with angular velocity of y. So this will become y plus x. So this becomes y minus x. We'll simply add y, right? And this becomes y minus x by 3. Okay, let us see what exactly is given in question. If the sun gear and the outer ring gears are rotated in the same direction, okay, it says that the sun gear and the outer ring gear are rotating in the same direction with angular velocity omega s and omega r, then the angular speed of the arm AB is. Okay, so it is given that y plus x is equal to omega sun, y minus x is equal to omega ring is given. So you need to find out basically y, right? Because you need to find out the angular speed of the arm. So we have assumed that the angular speed of the arm is y, right? So you basically need to find y, right? So sorry, this is x by 3. This is x by 3, right? Equation 1, equation 2. So we will simply do what? We will do 3 times equation 2 plus equation 1 implies, right? X will get cancelled out. 4 of y is equal to omega s plus 3 times omega r, right? This implies y is equal to 3 by 4 omega r plus 1 by 3 omega s. Okay, let us see if we have this in option, 3 by 4 omega r plus 1 by 4 omega s. So what is the answer? Answer is B, right? So again, this is a simple problem, right? So we just need to know how to calculate. The concept here is how to make the table and how to calculate the number of teeth, find out the relationship between the number of teeth in sun gear, planet gear and ring gear. Okay, let us move on to the next question. Flywheel. Again, this is a very simple question. This is a very simple question, right? Flywheel. So it is given the rotational speed of the flywheel. The flywheel is attached to an engine to keep its rotational speed between 100 radian per second and 110 radian per second. If the energy fluctuation between the two speeds is 1.05 kilojoule, then the moment of inertia of the flywheel is. It's a very simple question, right? So what is the energy max? I half I omega max square, right? That is equal to half I. It is given omega max is 110. What is minimum? That is half I omega mean square. That is given in question. The minimum speed is 100 square. simply subtract 1 and 2, E max minus E mean, there is a fluctuation of energy between these 2 points, half I 110 square minus 100 square, right? So this is given 1.05 kilojoule. So I'll simply write into 10 to the power 3. So it be is equal to half I. So this becomes 110 square minus 100 square will become 110 plus 100 into 110 minus 100, right? Simply, without calculator we can actually calculate this. So I becomes equal to 2100. If you multiply 2, if you cross multiply 2 here, right, 2100, if you see this is also 2100, right, 2100, this becomes 10. So basically this is equal to 1 kg meter square. So what is the final answer? Final answer is 1 kg meter square. Okay, you see how simple, how easy question this is. Even if you don't have the concept of flywheel, you simply know that a flywheel is a rotating disc kind of thing, you can easily calculate the moment of inertia, right? Okay, let us move on to the next question. Again, this is a very nice question, right? This is indeed one of the nice questions. Still, it is just conceptual. If you've gone through the chapter of flywheel, this is a easy question. This is a easy question. So let us try to see what exactly is this question, right? The turning moment diagram of a flywheel is given, right? Mean torque is given as 2000, right? Average in the engine speed is 1000 rpm, right? CS value of fluctuation of speed is given, means coefficient of fluctuation of speed is given, right, of the average speed. The mass moment of inertia of the flywheel is, again you need to find out the mass moment of inertia, right? In this question you can see that the value of CS is given, coefficient of fluctuation of speed is plus minus 2%, so it is equal to 0.04. okay, value of RPM, in RPM it is given, so omega becomes 2 pi n by 60. Let us calculate what is omega. 2 pi n by 60, 2 pi n is 1000 divided by 60, so it is somewhere around 1200 pi. Sorry, okay, so it is coming out to be 104.72. Omega is equal to 104.72. okay, so delta E, what is delta E? We can calculate the delta E max. What is the delta E max? If you see here the maximum fluctuation of energy, you can say this is the maximum fluctuation of energy, or you can say this is maximum fluctuation of energy. You can see this is equal, both is are equal. So what is the maximum fluctuation from the mean torque? That is equal to, I can say, 3000 minus 2000 into pi minus pi by 2, right? This pi minus pi by 2, and this height is this rectangle, height of the rectangle is 3000 minus 2000, right? So this becomes 500 pi, isn't it? This becomes 500 pi. So now we know we have a formula, delta E max is equal to CS I omega square. This implies We found out delta mx as 500 pi. This equal to CS value we have found it as 0.04. I we need to calculate 104.72 whole square, isn't it? 104.72. Yes, 104.72. Let us calculate the value of I. Let us calculate the value of I. 500 pi divided by 0.04 divided by 104.72 whole square is coming out to be 3.58 kg meter square. See, it's a simple question. We have seen this formula in class, right? We have derived that formula in class, and these are all simple things we have discussed in class, right? Similar kind of question have also appeared earlier in GATE, and we have also solved similar question in class. So this shouldn't have been a problem. Okay. Now here comes a question from balancing, right? So we have done two questions from simple mechanism. Both the questions were from Grasshoff's law, right? We have done one question from gear, absolutely important, right? We have done plenty of questions from epicyclic gear train and compound gear trains, right? Gear trains is very important, right? Then two questions from flywheel, right? And both of the questions were easy, nice, conceptual, okay? And this is a question from balancing. Again, the question from balancing is also a very simple question. This is a very simple question, right? So you see here, there is the disk. It has 4 identical point masses, each of 10 grams, right? And it is rotating at a uniform angular speed of 10 radian per second. Okay. So what exactly is happening? There are 4 centrifugal force, m r omega square, m r omega square. All 4 are acting radially outwards. M r omega square, m r omega square, right? 4 centrifugal forces acting in 4 different directions, right? So they're cancelling each other and the system is in balanced state, right? They're cancelling each other because they're opposite to each other and the forces are equal, so they're cancelling each other. Okay. Now it says, the question says, is one of the masses gets detached, resultant unbalanced forces. So if one of the masses gets detached, right, one of the masses gets detached, let me say this mass gets detached, right? So what will happen? These 2 forces will still cancel out and this will be the only unbalanced force, right? So what is the unbalanced force in that case? What will be the unbalanced force? I can say unbalanced force is equal to m r omega square, right? Unbalanced force is equal to m r omega square. What is the value of mass given? 10 grams, 10 divided by 10 to the power 3, right? What is the radius given? 100, 100 divided by 10 to the power 3, 100 mm, so 100 divided by 10 to the power 3, and the value of angular speed is 10 square. So what is the unbalanced force? Resultant unbalanced force comes out to be how many zeros in the numerator? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. How many zeros in the denominator? 6 zeros. So 0.1 Newton. Right? Again, such a simple question that has been asked in GATE. Right? So this year, 2020 has been a very simple year with respect to theory of machines. Okay, mind you, guys, we are not discussing questions from vibrations. Vibrations questions will be taken separately. Okay, we are discussing the core theory of machine portions, right? Vibration portion will be taken up separately. Okay, this is the last question that has been asked, right, from camps and follower, and this is a very nice question. This is the first time GATE have asked such a question in exam, right, with this concept, right? And it is a very good concept, very good concept, right? And let us see what exactly, right, how to solve it. So it is given, what is given? It came with a translating phase flat face follower is desired to have the follower motion. This the follower motion is given. Okay. Contact stress concentration dictate that the radius of curvature of the cam profile should not be less than 40 mm anywhere, right? Minimum permissible value of base circle radius is, right? So we can solve this equation using a simple equation, right? And this equation can be derived, but the derivation is lengthy, so we'll not derive the equation, but this equation needs to be remembered. Okay. Okay, so what is this equation? Okay, there can be plenty of questions from these equations. Radius of curvature radius of curvature minimum, the minimum value of radius of curvature is equal to base circle radius plus y theta. What is y theta? That is the follower motion plus y double dash theta, mean. This is mean, minimum. This is a very important equation, right, that needs to be remembered. So if you remember this equation, you'll have no problem in answering this question, and in future also you'll be very easily be able to answer the equations. Okay, so we need to find out R base. This is what you need to find out, right? Minimum possible value of radius of curvature is already given, that is 40. So basically we need to find out what is the minimum value of this, y theta plus y double dot theta. Anyways, we know, we have seen that what is y double dot theta? This is nothing else but acceleration of the follower, right? This is double derivative of this equation, right? Double derivative of this equation is nothing else but the acceleration of follower, right? So somewhere you might also see this as y plus a minimum, right? A represents the acceleration, y represents the motion of the follower, right? So we need to calculate this part. If we calculate this part, we can easily calculate the base circle radius. Okay, so let us try to calculate. So it is given, what is given? The value of y is given as 4 times 2 pi theta minus theta square, right? Value of y is given as 2 pi theta minus theta square. Okay, let us differentiate it. So we'll get the velocity. Velocity is equal to 4 times 2 pi minus 2 theta. Let us differentiate it once again. So this is basically velocity, this is basically acceleration. This is equal to minus 8. This is basically minus 8. So let us see what exactly does this mean, right? We need to find out, please remember, we need to find out the minimum value of y theta and minimum value of y double dash theta. Okay, we need to find out. Okay, so y double dash theta, it is not at all a problem because it is a constant value we have seen, right? So this itself becomes the minimum, this itself becomes the maximum, right? So we don't have to worry for this, right? Y double dash theta, it is the value we have found out to be minus 8, right? So what is the minimum value of y? So since y double dash theta is negative, right? So y, if we substitute first derivative of y as 0, we'll get the maximum value. Where is y maximum? Since this is a negative quantity, isn't it? So let us see where the maximum value of y lies, right? The maximum value of y lies, if we equate single derivative of y equal to 0, this is equal to 4 2 pi minus 2 theta. From here you will get to see that theta is equal to pi. So theta is equal to pi means when theta is equal to pi, y is going to have a maximum value. Why I am saying maximum value? Because double derivative is negative. So you are going to have a maximum, local maximum, not a minimum. Local maximum, right? If the value of y double dash was positive, then we could have seen that y has a minimum value at pi. but now y has a maximum value at pi. Okay, okay. So if you see, the value of y varies from 0 to 2 pi, right? So at the midway, that is when theta is equal to pi, we have a maximum, right? We have maximum when theta is equal to pi, right? So if we see, this is how the curve will, because this is a parabolic curve, this is how the curve will be. This is a parabolic curve, you can see, right? Theta square. So this is how the curve approximately, I'm not drawing the exact curve, this is how the curve should look like, right? The maximum value pi at theta is equal to pi, right? And if you see, at theta is equal to 0, theta equal to 0 and theta is equal to 2 pi, the value of y equal to 0. You substitute theta is equal to pi, 0, the value of y is 0. Theta equal to 2 pi, value of y is again 0. So in this range, what is the minimum value of y? So y minimum is 0. So we have calculated all the values. We have calculated the value of y double dash minimum, that is minus 8. We have calculated the value of y minimum, that is 0. We know the value of minimum radius of curvature, that is 40. We need to find out r base. So let us substitute the values. R base is equal to 40 minus 0, right? So this is what we need to find out. We'll bring this term towards on the left hand side, 0 minus 8. So what is the r base? This is equal to 48. So this is a very nice question. This is a very nice question. First time GATE has asked question on this topic, right? But now, since we know how to solve this, we know this equation and how we have proceeded, I think we are simple.